with that. And so just before I start, there'll be some of you that, most of you know who I am, but obviously with COVID, not met. My name's Amanda Wetherell. I am the Trident coach, been with Titans for since September. Well, it feels like much longer with this weird year. I've met quite a few parents, but obviously in the older squads don't know as many of you as possible. I have two swimmers. I have Lily Wetherell, who is in Lower Sixth, and I have Lauren Wetherell, who is in Upper Sixth. And they both belong to Titans. Right, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, I'm just going to come out of that. I need to make sure that is there. Right, okay. That's what I wanted. I need to make sure both of those have the ability to share. Okay, Ewan. So let's go to that. Okay, can you all, if you can give me a thumbs up or a nod, can everybody see the screen?
Yes, Amanda.
Perfect, thank you very much, wonderful. Okay, so as I said, this is my overview. Okay, it's based on personal experience and research, and kind of our time as a family in the US and our journey that we've gone through as a family with regards to deciding whether we were going to go down the US college route. Okay, so I'm putting this up first of all because I think it's really important in terms of the map of the US. Okay, map of the US, it's huge. Okay, now what happens is we're like, oh, I want to go to America. Now most of us know maybe California, Florida, New York, but there are many different places within that. I'm just going to stop share because I've got somebody that wants to come in. Hold on a minute. Sorry, I can't do two things at once. If someone wants to come in, that's the problem. Right, let me go back to share. I need to go backwards. Okay. So what happens is like, right, I want to go to America, and then most of us know East Coast, West Coast. Okay. It's a huge country. Okay. The UK, you know, generally would fit into the size of Florida in terms of Georgia, that kind of size. So in terms of where we were, we lived for 4 years in Florida, and we were part of the Bowl School Sharks. So both my girls got to experience high school swimming and got to experience life in America and how the US views swimming. It's still a minority sport over there, as it is in the UK. But there's just a very different feeling and vibe around it, and we fell in love with that side of things. It's very much a team-based sport as they view it, although it's individuals doing things. It is seen as a team-based sport at high school level and at college. Okay, so that's America. We can go back to that if we need to. Right. So the NCAA, the National College Athletic Association, those of you who've maybe doing some research on this at the moment, you will see this coming up at the little blue symbol. You may have seen it in American sports films, things like that, and it's something that happens in terms of it's spoken about a lot. Okay, so, and I just put it there so you can see that. Okay. Right, sorry, I've got two people wanting to come in again and it's frozen my screen. Okay, I wish people would be on time. Right, hold on, I'm going to stop share, let them in, and then otherwise I can't carry on my... Okay, I'm hoping everyone is in now. We'll go back again. We'll try one more time. Okay, so we've skipped America. We'll go this way. Right, okay. So the NCAA, their mission statement, it is essentially a governing body. It is a non-profit, it's a charitable organisation, and it's about making sure that it is safe, fair, all of those things that we want for our children, and it protects them within the college environment. But it focuses on making sure that you're not just going to college to swim, you are going to college for an education and the chance to participate in sport, okay? There are lots of stories. You may have spoken to people that say, oh, well, they're only here, they're not very good at school, they're just going to play football or they're just going to swim. Just to be really clear, from my personal experience, if you're not passing your classes and going to your tutors and filling in your work and doing those type of things, you cannot swim. If you're not making your grades within class, they won't let you just be at the university for 4 years just to swim, okay? So it's really important. It is about an athletic experience hand in hand with an educational experience, okay? So you may have heard Division 1 or D1, D2 and D3, okay? I wanted to talk about what those are. So there are 3 levels of colleges within the US, Division 1, and they're, according to their records, there are 351 division schools throughout the United States. Division 2, there are 308, and Division 3, there are 443 up there. Below are just the student athletes that are in those divisions, okay? So Division 3 have the highest number of student athletes, okay, that are in their programs, all right? So it's really, really important to note this, okay? Student athletes and their parents, only a very small percentage of school athletes, college athletes, high school, whatever we want to call them, end up competing in Division 1 and Division 2 level, okay? So 56% of athletes at a Division 1 school receive some type of athletic aid, which is a scholarship. So if you're thinking, half of those that go to a Division 1 school who take part in sports are not on any form of scholarship, okay? They are going there, they're paying for it, and they are, they could be termed as a walk-on. They're part of the team, they get access to all of the same things, but they are on no form of scholarship or money, okay? It's higher in Division 2. So 60% of Division 2 athletes get some type of athletics aid, okay? And it's really important to note, Division 3 colleges offer no form of athletic scholarship. And if you note from the previous slide, they have the most student athletes. Now, Division 3 colleges have some very good sports programs, but the only type of scholarships they will offer you are going to be academic scholarships, okay? So they are academic-based scholarships, all right? So it's just really important that you know that. And also the academic scholarships for foreign students will differ from American students. So in terms of when you're researching, there are more questions that I think you need to probe and ask if you're coming from abroad. So skipping on. So just talking about the NCAA, okay? And I want to touch on this. There is no set age limit for you joining a college in America, a bit like joining a university in the UK. However, if you want to go to a Division 1 school, and Division 1s are seen as the top sports schools, okay? They generally require you to enroll within 1 year of graduating high school. So that is within 1 year of you finishing a sixth form, okay? Now, it's not hard and fast, so it's not written in stone, because there are some ways around that, and there's obviously each program will be different depending on what they're looking for. But just so that you know, so that you don't feel I'm missing out, or should I take a year out, or what I'm going to do, there's a myth saying that you need to start your first year at college by the time you are 19. So that would allow you to maybe have 1 year out, have a gap year. But what I would say is, in that sense, is check it out with the school that you're talking to. So if there's a couple of schools that you want, don't miss out on that opportunity. The biggest thing that is really important is the NCAA. You have 5 years eligibility. So you have 5 years that you can compete, okay? Now that works into 4 seasons. The reason they give you 5 years is, we all know, is that sometimes things happen in life. And a lot of the time, it can be an injury, it can be an illness, it can be something that's on the personal side, it can be to do with your studies. What that gives you is an opportunity to do what they call redshirt. Now, this year during COVID, many swimmers and student athletes have redshirted this year. And they've redshirted this year because essentially there are hardly any competitions, or they have redshirted this year because they want to go to the Olympics. So they want to focus on their national training and not swim for the college. So you have 5 years of NCAA eligibility. Most people do 4 years, 4 years straight. They never take the 5th year, okay? But it's just so that you know, in terms of going forward, that's what could happen. Right, so moving on, I've put this website up, and I would say take a note of it, okay? So if you want to go to college in America, you need to set up a swimmer profile account, and this is the website in which you can do that, okay? So this is the website, and I'm going to talk you through the website, which might sound a bit like I'm telling you. You can go on and do it yourself, but I just want to explain it to you so you understand and you fully know. So you will click on that website, and up in the corner, you want to click on to register. Now, I know I've done this with a couple of people have contacted me privately, and we've done this together and gone through it, okay? So essentially what you're wanting to do is create yourself a profile, okay? And what you do, you go on, you click, you register, you have to create a swimmer account, you put in an email address, a password, and you click on the I'm not a robot, okay? You will receive an email from SwimCloud to authenticate your account, okay? At that point, it allows you to fill in all the kind of the important stuff that you want. So your name, your gender, male or female, date of birth, which swim team you currently swim for. And there's also a profile. So you do your height, your weight, your shoe size, contact details, and you put on your social media information. I'm going to come back to social media because it's a really important topic, and I need you to understand about the social media side of things. And it's a really important point that I'm going to make about that. You also can put on your, so it has your team on there. So making sure you put Ellesmere College Titans and your year of graduation. So the year that you will finish off at 18, okay? Once you click that, your account is active, okay? You might not have all of the information on it because you can go back on, but once you fill in those main points, you will have a profile on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come out and I'm going to go onto Swim Profile, onto the SwimCloud so you can just see it. So I'm just going to exit out of this. So let me just come there. I'm going to go down. Let me see if I can just drop this down here and see. Right, I don't know whether you guys can see. I'm just going to try and get this up so that you can see the swim profile. Trust me to lose it all. All right, let me see if I can share screen and see whether you'll be able to. Right, here we are. Okay, can you guys see that? It will say SwimCloud at the top and it will say college swimming, okay? Yeah. So I've typed in Sasha is a friend of ours and a swimmer, and so I've typed in her name. So you'll go on to this. So the front page of College Swimming, it has results. So what it does is it covers all the conferences, because there's so much swimming that happens over there. And at the moment, you've got the SEC and the ACC championships going on over in the States. So what it does is it can give you results from teams and all that kind of thing. But college recruiters use this. So let's type in, I'm going to do someone that I know. Okay. I've asked Lauren, she said it was okay. So Lauren has a profile on here. So I click that. Okay, so there's Lauren's profile. It's a picture of her swimming, where she's from, what class she's from. There's some kind of technical data on there. And importantly, the highlights at the top, it shows she's committed. So if a college coach was coming on, they can see that she's verbally committed. Well, she's actually not, she's signed for the University of Tennessee, and it's got some numbers next to her. It's got her highlights and her rankings, that type of thing. So let's, I'm going to put in, trying to think of other swimmers. Give you. So this is another one. They've got their picture, they've committed also because it's the class year, and it just shows you their different profiles. It gives you a power index, their ranking, that type of thing. So this is what college recruiters would go on and look at, and this is the profile from SwimCloud that you would go to. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that, and I'm going to go back into here. Okay, so we've. Right, let's move along. Okay, so on that swim profile, you will have noticed probably in the corner, power index and class ranking. So they are important to some people, some recruiters, not so much to others, okay? Everyone has one, and you can't take it off or change it or do things to it, okay? It's based on your times, and it's based on rankings from that percentile and that year group, okay? So what they do, it's weighted, and there's a special formula which SwimCloud won't tell us what that formula is. And essentially what you do is you can put into up to 5 events, 5 of your best events in, and then you get a calculation for that year of class, okay? They will always take a 50 freestyle because they are looking at points that you would score doing a relay as well. So lots of people say, well, I'm a distance swimmer. Why are you looking at my 50 freestyle time? They're seeing whether you would be a good on their relay team and things. So they add it to that. So your power index is worked out. The lower your power index, the better swimmer supposedly you are, and also you'll get a class ranking. So you may be 44th in your class year, you may be 102, you may be 400, and what have you. There, it basically says, in terms of ranking wise, you are this good for that recruiting class, okay? So the way you can increase that is by keep putting times in and keep improving your swimming, okay? So you can't skew the formula is done, you input the times and it works out that for you, okay? So I would recommend when you're doing this is, so if you look here, this is Lauren's page lifted. Before she decided which college she was going to do, she did a highlights page. This is part of the highlights page. And we basically put on what class she was going to be, where she swam. We put on her Twitter and her Instagram addresses. We obviously didn't put University of the highlights of University of Tennessee. We put her power index on, and we put her class ranking and kind of where she, kind of her biggest achievements in swimming. We also put height, weight, wingspan, shoe size, those type of things on as well. And we had that as a covering page, which we fired off when she was starting to look at universities, but I'll come back to that at another point, okay? So here, so email, and this is in terms of going back to that page. So I'm going to jump back a couple of steps because I'm getting ahead of myself. In your junior year, which in the UK would be year 11, you are eligible to start the recruiting process for the NCAA. Before that, you can have a college swim profile, but you cannot contact coaches and they cannot contact you. There's very strict rules around that. They can watch you, they can follow your profile. So by putting information on there, it's really, really useful, because what happens is you become a target for them. And also you can put on colleges that you really, really like. But if you are contacted before your the spring summer time in your year 11, that could have an impact. It would make you ineligible because you would be talking to a college, and there are really strict rules around that. Okay, so imagine we're in year 11, okay? You've decided you want to go to America. You're not sure where you want to go. You may have drawn up a list, or you may have looked at that big map that I put up at the beginning, okay? You've done your cover letter or your little letter, and you found all your emails. It's really, really easy to go on and find university swim coach. There's a big diary of them, or if you just say, right, well, I really like the University of California, go on University of California, and there'll be a directory for the head swim coaches, okay? And then what you do is, with your cover letter, as soon as the date hits in June and that window opens, this year it's going to be on the 15th of May, they've brought it forward by a month. On the 15th of May 2021, you can fire off a load of emails. If you have a swim profile account, you will find, hopefully, you will have a load of emails coming into you from coaches saying, we'd like to recruit you. It's a two-way process, okay? As an international student, you fall into a slightly different category. They have a kind of an extra place potentially for internationals. So they will fill up with their nationals, but then they will also have room for internationals. And you're finding more and more teams in the States are wanting to have international swimmers. So you become quite sought after and things. So what I would say is, make your list of colleges, do your cover sheet with all your information on it. Really important that officially you can't be contacted before these dates. Now, I want to be really, really clear. You might say, I really, 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 really in year 11, because you know everything, you want to go to, I don't know, the University of Florida. You want to go and be a Gator. Most people don't commit until they're in lower sixth, but the majority don't commit until the beginning of their final year, their senior year, okay? Some people just know, and it's what they want. They've been offered a good scholarship, they've discussed it with their parents, they definitely want to do it. So what they do is they say, yeah, I'm going to commit. So what they do is they do a verbal commitment, okay? It's really important as well. You need to, with your records, you need to show 4 years of continuous education. So you need to make sure you keep all of your school reports for year 10, year 11, year 12, and year 13. Even if you've moved schools, you need all of that information, because that will go into your admissions process. So make sure you've done your paperwork and you've got that side of things, okay? But in year 11, don't panic if you think, well, I really want to go there, but no one's contacting me, or I'm not sure where I want to go, and things. Be very open-minded and know that most people don't commit. You know, if you've committed by the beginning of lower sixth, then you're doing a really good job and you obviously know what you want. Most people won't commit, mainly end of year 12, the summer of year 12 into year 13, okay? So, right, I'm gonna jump back a little bit. I'm gonna keep it on this page. I want to talk to you a little bit about the social media that I spoke to you about on here. So let's go back. So on here, you'd put your Twitter and your Instagram addresses, okay? I'm gonna say this now, and I have done it. I've gone on and had a quick look at some of the Instagram and the Twitter from some of our swimmers with open accounts. My advice would be, please clean up your accounts, okay? I'm not here to preach and parent you. but I am here to tell you that anything that doesn't look quite right and you might think is jokey, a recruiter or a college could see in a very different light. I'm going to give you two quite extreme examples, but I'm going to give them to you because I need you to understand the impact that it could have going forwards, okay? So it's really important that you do have an open account, because that's how they go and look and they find you and they see swimming. And most people who are swimmers, and we all do, our accounts are just of us at swimming pools, although this year it hasn't been. So there is a big case in the moment in the US, and it's actually linked to the University of Tennessee. A girl did a TikTok video a few years ago, back in 2017, and she's a soccer player, football. She mimed to a TikTok song that had an unfortunate word in it. That was screen recorded and 3 years later has been shared, and she has been banned from the University of Tennessee, and she has lost her scholarship because they felt that that didn't represent them as a university. She was, in her words, messing around and joking and miming to a song. This has made her, put her on a blacklist, and she has lost out on her, she had a very good scholarship to go and play soccer, okay? It might seem funny to you and harmless, but we're in a very different world now, and we've got lots of things and pressures, and people take offense at things that you might not think are offensive. But if you are wanting to represent a school, and Ellesmere should be the same, if there are things on your account that are maybe a little bit risky, or maybe you know, there's alcohol involved, or there is particular wording or clothing. I'm not saying you have to live like a nun or a monk or anything like that, but you've just got to think, and I always say this to my girls, if you're not willing to say it and say it to somebody face to face and do those actions within a group around your parents, your coaches, don't do it, okay? I would hate for somebody to be offered a really fantastic scholarship, get the school of their dreams, and then somebody trawls back through something from 4 years ago that they think is funny or was a bit of a joke at the time, because we all do things as children. Unfortunately, there is a gaze on it. So what I would say to you today is, if you are serious about a US college, go and do a bit of housekeeping on your accounts, okay? Or if not, close your account. If you, or make it private. If you make it private though, remember they can't look at you and see you as a person, because they're looking at the whole person, all right? So I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but if you want any more information with regards to those things, I will happily talk to you about it. Okay, so coming on to, this is an important point, SAT and ACT. You may have heard these names kind of flung around with regards to colleges, okay? So these are the testing that they use for you to get into college. You have to do an SAT or an ACT score, an exam, for you to go to an American college. This year, if you are going this year, so you are in the class of 2021 beginning, they were cancelled because of COVID. So they're not doing them. It's the first time it's ever happened, but you generally have to have one. So most universities, and I would check with the university that you're really interested in, most universities accept both of them, okay? So there's a lot of wording on here about the difference between them. They're both tests. The biggest difference I see with it, or I know about it, is that the ACT has a science element in it. So if you are very good at science, or that's your thing, then I would suggest that the ACT would be the route at which you would want to take, okay? Most people tend to go the SAT route in this country. There are loads of organisations, schools, online, as we're all used to online now, that do SAT prep, it's really worthwhile. There's a few apps out there that you can download that are free, and you can practice how they do the papers. So there's English, there's maths, general side of things. So looking down here, in terms of the SAT testing takes 3 hours, and there is an optional essay on the end that you can add to it. And then the ACT takes approximately 3 hours as well. And they've just got a difference in terms of there's 154 questions in the SAT and there's 215 in the ACT. So I'm just going to skip on to this one. So this gives you like a little look in terms of how it is. So it's got the points, and it's done on a points average. Because I'm not a tutor in this, it's not my area of expertise. I can get some more information on that, but it's quite easy to find in terms of the grades and the scoring. And each university will have a base level at which they'll accept, okay? So they do differ. So some might say, I want you to have this score, and some might say, I want you to have this score. So in terms of that, it would be worth looking into that once you get further down the route, all right? So the biggest difference is ACT has a science element to it, SAT doesn't. Right, how do colleges recruit swimmers? Okay, so they are looking for a whole person. They want somebody that loves swimming, but they want a rounded person. So having gone on quite a few college tours in 2019, they are looking at the whole athlete and the person and how they would fit into that team, okay? They look at the family, they look at the siblings, they look at your kind of beliefs, your work ethic, all of those type of things. So swimmers are, in terms of, I think they have a very good work ethic, they're organised, time management, compared to, I would say, other sports, students. So in terms of what they're looking at, but they're looking at the whole person. So you could be a really, really good swimmer, but if you're just about swimming, they do want a little bit more, and they want to know that you are passionate about other things as well. You can be really super passionate about swimming, don't get me wrong, but you need to make sure that there is that you have other interests, because that's important for your mental health and just you as a whole person, okay? So what I would say is build a list of schools that you like. Now, that list, I would recommend, you might start that list with maybe 20 schools, okay? You might do it by looking at a map. So you might say, I want to go and swim in a hot place. I want to be warm, okay? Come back, look at the schools that do the course you want to do, okay? First and foremost, swimming, and I'm going to say for most people, will not pay the bills. Okay, there are a few people out there in the world of swimming, and we know their names, where swimming pays the bills. Okay, swimming, it will help you get a really good education in this sense, and it will hopefully lead you on to having a really good work life. But if you are thinking just about swimming, there has to be a life after swimming. So whatever course you want to do, whatever you're interested in, be it psychology, nutrition, kinesiology, engineering, medicine, business, economics, I don't know. Make sure the schools that you are looking at do courses in those areas. If they don't, but they've got a great swim team, it's kind of like, what are you going to do? So you've got to make sure, first and foremost, check that they've got the course you want, and then they've got a swim team. And then I would work down from there, okay? So check the schools out. All of the schools have got recruiting videos. They give you a tour of the campus, and things. So my third point is make sure it has the right classes. You do have to swim your butt off in these next few years, and which you all do, but you do have to make sure that when you have the chance to race and you are building a profile, you're building your times and things. Be mindful of your social media presence. We've touched on that. I've talked about it. It is really, really important. It's more so important, I would say, in this last couple of years, because a lot of the recruiters, because of COVID, they can't meet you. So what they do is they go on and do quite a lot of research about you before that. Okay. Now, recruiting weekends. We went on some fabulous recruiting weekends. And what I would say is you have 4 official visits that you're allowed to take. That means the NCAA allow you to go, you're invited by the school to go to that college for 48 hours. You're allowed on campus as their guest for 48 hours. They can't give you anything. They can't give you merchandise, hats, anything like that, because that would be seen as buying you. But they can take you to a college football game. They can give you food. They're allowed to pay for your hotel. And they get to know you, and you meet the team, you spend time with them. It's a really fun experience. And if you are going, hopefully next year, these recruiting weekends will happen. From the UK, normally what happens is if you're looking at a couple of schools, those colleges will come together because they'll know that you're looking at a few. So they'll share your flight, they'll pay for your flight, they'll sort out all your transfers. And what will happen is you'll normally go over for about a week. You might go to maybe 2 or 3 schools within that 10-day week period. And what it does is it gives you an opportunity to see the school, see the swim team, and they obviously get to meet you as well. All right. So that's an official visit. There are unofficial options. So what you can do is you, as a family, can go and walk around. You can go on a college tour. You can do all of those things. But what you can't do is go and talk to a swim coach. You can go and look at the practice, the facilities. You can tell the coach you're going to be there, but they can't come and talk to you because it's not an official visit. Okay. So what you can do is, though, if you've got more and you're not sure, but you're in the same area. So say if you were going to look at University of North Carolina, Duke's next door. So you might have an official visit at one, but you might go and look at the other one. So in terms of just thinking about where you're going to be. And then what I would say is bring it down to about 5. If you've got more than 5, you're going to really struggle to do the research and to talk to these people. They will want to talk to you and they'll want to do Zoom calls. What I would say is do a practice Zoom call with a school that you might like, but you're not too worried about whether they like you or they don't like you. Because what it will do is give you a feel for talking with the coaches. They tend to be really, really enthusiastic. So they come on like, hi, how are you? This is our school. This is amazing. We do this, and they're like, it's like full on. And it's like they've got a cheerleaders going on in the background. They're whizzing you around. They're like, look at my pool, look at the sunshine, look at my t-shirt. Don't you want to be part of my team? It is a little bit crazy. We had one, a call, and it was like, you want to be a gopher? And I'm there going, what? And that's their team animal. And I'm going to Lauren, I don't want to be a gopher. But it was quite funny because then they're like, do you want to be a terrapin? Do you want to be a shark? Do you want to be? So we had fun doing it. But what I would say is make sure you think about, not just about the swag, as I call it, in terms of the football team and all of those type of things. Think about the classes and also practice a Zoom call, okay? Now, at the bottom, remember, you may be contacted by a college recruiter, but you also may be contacted by a scholarship recruiter. Be careful. So scholarship recruiting companies are out there. There's lots of them. And what they do is they'll trawl through and they'll look at your times and go, and they'll message you and go, wow, you're an amazing swimmer. We can get you into da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then at the bottom in small print, and that'll cost you £5,000. So what they do is they'll contact these and they're like, well, you can only get into college if, I can only get you into this college if you work with me and we work on your SAT scores and stuff like that. You can go down that route, but I think you can do this yourselves, okay? I was contacted by 4 of them. They're a real hard sell. They're it's like being, by a used car salesman, and I apologize if anyone's a used car salesman, but in terms of constantly on at you saying that, you need to do this and you need to do that. They are 2 very different things, and make sure when you're speaking, know that whether it's a college recruiter or it's a scholarship company, 2 different things, okay? Decisions, okay. Make sure you do your research. Ask questions, however stupid the question might be. It might be, you know, how far is the nearest supermarket? Am I going to get a food card? How many people am I going to room with? All those type of things. Biggest thing for me is think about your education. You have to think about life after swimming. It's a horrible thing to say because we're all in the moment and we're all going to the Olympics, okay? We all believe that because otherwise we wouldn't coach, we wouldn't swim, we wouldn't do that. However, you have to remember there's only a very small percentage of people that are going to do that, okay? So what you have to think about is, am I going to go and have 4 years of amazing racing, being in a really good team environment, enjoy, get a really good education, and experience and get different life skills? Yes. If that leads to something, brilliant, but just remember why you're going there as well, okay? Look at it in terms of what kind of team do you want to be part of? And I say this because there's normally 2 different teams out there. Do you want to be the star? So do you want to be the best swimmer on that team so that all the focus will be on you? Or do you want to join a group of good swimmers? So there are different teams out there. So you just need to look at the school, look at the team and decide whether you want to have more focus and attention and the coaching style and staff, or do you want to be part and be with a group of great swimmers? It depends, okay? Cost. And I'm bringing cost into this because as we go back to before, not everybody will get a scholarship. Be really, really clear. There is no thing called a full scholarship. You'll hear people say it. You still have to pay for certain things because otherwise you become a professional athlete, and the NCAA does not allow you to become a professional athlete. So you will still have to pay for part of your education. So your scholarship might be 10%, 15%, 30%, 40%, up to 60%, okay, which is a really, really good scholarship. Gone are the days of the 95% scholarships. They're just not out there, okay? If they are, they're doing something slightly odd, and I would question it as a parent. You need to make sure that everything is right, okay? The biggest piece of advice I had when I was doing this process as a parent, but also with my coaching head on thinking about you guys, make sure your scholarship runs for 4 years. So somebody might go, I'm going to give you 75% scholarship. Then when you read the small print, it's only for the first year. Then what are you going to do for the next 3 years? You need to make sure that you negotiate your scholarship over the 4 years. So you need to lock in your scholarship and say, right, well, they're going to give me 45%. So they're going to give me half of all my costs. That's my living costs, my tuition, my food, and then we're going to have to come up with the other bit of it. But I've got that for the 4 years. You can grow a scholarship too. The better you get, they will give you incentives and bonuses along the way. But that's individual on the colleges, and it's not locked in and guaranteed, okay? So make sure if you are talking about scholarships, you are doing it over the full life of your college education. There are some very good deals out there, but I know swimmers that have had some great deals for 1 year and they then love it. They can't finance the next 3 years and have to come home. Okay, talk to the coaches, make sure you like the coaches. Remember, coaching teams can change. So think about the ethos, ask the coach, what are your plans? Are you planning on staying? They will never give you a truthful answer, but you can normally tell and see whether if they got family here, if they got roots here, you know, does it look like a strong team? Talk to the other swimmers, okay? And you must compare against other colleges. You might say, I'm definitely the only college I can go to is Stanford. Only want to go there. The problem is you can't put that up against anywhere else. So make sure that you do compare, you look and you see what other places have. And remember, this is for 4 years, okay? So it is a commitment. So you want to try and like where you are. The final point I've put on here is a COVID-19 impact on swimming, okay? And it's impacting all sports, but it has impacted swimming. And I've put the football team there. And the reason why I say this is if the school you are going to has a good, strong football team, the likelihood of your swimming program being cut is reduced. Because basically what happens is all the money from sports, because they get TV deals, there's lots of things that happen. If the college football team is a bit rubbish and people don't like them and they're not highly followed and stuff like that, what happens is money always goes to football first. Football is king. It rules America. Having lived there, football rules. You know, it's all about football, a bit like this country, actually. So in terms of, it's all about football. Money from everything goes to football. They get donations, all sorts. They've got these big stadiums that seat 100,000 people and they're full every week. Anything the football team get, you then get. So when they get a new student athlete block and a new dining hall for the football players, well, all the swim teams and the soccer team and the tennis team and the basketball, they get to use it too. So if there's money going in through a football team, the impact on the peripheral sports programs is limited and reduced. So what I would say is just do a little bit of research on that. In this past year, we've seen some, in the US, some really quite big swim programs from historic colleges, William and Mary, to the one that jumped to mind. They've been cut. They're like, there's no more money, that's it. So people who have gone there on scholarships are like, right, you've got to find a new university. So, and they might not get another scholarship and things. So what I would just say is make sure you are thinking about that with regards to your program. And so what happened during this year was this red shirting. So when all of these things happened during COVID, this year has been a big red shirt year. So they've taken that 5th year option because of COVID. Right. So just a quick picture, and I'm biased because this is Tennessee, and obviously that's going to be Lauren's home for the next, and Lily's for the next 4 years. So this is their indoor centre. They have 3 50-metre pools, and they have a really, really strong women's team. I'm going to say that women's and men's teams, the programs can be different. You can have a fantastic program. So if you look at Florida Gators, really, really good men's program, not so good at the women. So when we were looking at colleges, you want to look at the rankings for whichever sex you are. Are you male, female? You want a really good women's program. You want a really good men's program, depending on who you are. Don't go, I'm going to be a Gator, not knowing too much about them. You need to make sure that the program suits you. Is it an IM program? Are they more distance? Are they sprint? You know, so there are some things that go into them. And questions. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. You know I like to talk. If there are any questions, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to just come, I'm just going to exit here. Stop sharing screen, and I'm just going to go down and just stop the recording, okay, because it just means that then it protects our privacy as a group, okay.